it's time to dive into the Daily Dish. Chef Eden Grinshpan, who you probably recognize as the host of Top Chef Canada, is making us charred eggplant with crushed tomatoes, basil, and mint. Sounds delish. Here's what you need: eggplant, tomato, kosher salt, za'atar, extra virgin olive oil, tahini, red hug. She's going to get me on that one. Basil, mint, sea salt, and thick slices of sourdough. Yes. Okay, this is a recipe from your beautiful new cookbook, Eating Out Loud, and it is filled with delicious recipes that reflect your Israeli heritage. We'll talk about my accent in a second, but first, let's talk about the cookbook. How did this all come about?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And you almost got it. It's called schrug, which is a Yemen hot sauce, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Eating Out Loud is my first cookbook. Contemporary Middle Eastern flavors, very approachable, everyday food that you can make in your kitchen. And it's inspired by my travels, my Israeli background. And that actually is a really great lead into this dish, which I'm really excited to share with you, because this is actually an incredibly popular dish that you can find in almost any restaurant in Israel. And it's called eggplant baladi, which is basically like a field eggplant. And basically what you need to do to this eggplant, and this is actually something that I'm really excited to show you, because I think a lot of people make this mistake. So lightly score it, throw it onto a hot grill or under the broiler or on your gas stove. And what you want to do is you want to char the eggplant, like char it almost until it's like unrecognizable. Okay, do you see this?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And it's important to score it so that it doesn't explode on you, which has happened to me before. So let me just show you a little bit. So this is basically all you have to do. So after you let it cool and actually drain a little bit, because the juices can tend to be a little bitter, all you want to do is you want to peel that skin off. As simple as that, okay? And the meat is juicy because it's in that skin, and the heat from the grill has charred the outside, which infuses the meat with smoky, like a smoky burnt flavor. And because it's in this beautiful skin that's protecting the meat, it has steamed inside. So it's super, super tender. So now what we want to do is, I'm not actually going to like break this down. I'm keeping them as is. I am keeping them whole. And then what I like to do is I take a really sharp knife and I just run it right through the meat, so that when people, get to it on the plate, it easily pulls apart. And then basically this is where we start having fun. We start dressing it up with all of those really beautiful ingredients. And I'm going to start with the schrug, which is what you mentioned.
Okay.
And the schrug is a Yemen hot sauce. I have a recipe in Eating Out Loud. It's actually very easy to put together, just toasted spices with some chili, some red chili, and some oil. And it has obviously a beautiful heat to it. But if you can't find schrug or make schrug, you can just use any red hot sauce, or you can use some chili flakes, or you can use some Aleppo pepper. It's just bringing in a little bit of that bright spice. Like, I like a little bit of heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what we have here is probably my all-time favorite condiment, garlicky tahini, which is super, super creamy. And basically it's made out of tahini paste, lemon juice to really brighten it up, garlic, salt, and ice water. And the ice water really, really makes the tahini really creamy and light. So I just want to drizzle that on top of the eggplant. And this dish is so much fun because you're basically just like dressing up a very simply cooked eggplant. It's just about making it look really like delicious with all these beautiful flavors. And what I'm going to put on here next is actually a really interesting and so simple but brilliant ingredient. And basically what it is it's one tomato blitzed up with some kosher salt. And you get the brightness, that acidity, like so much flavor just from one tomato. It's like brilliant. So I'm just going to drizzle that tomato. And after we put over the tomatoes, I'm going to put over za'atar, okay? So we're hearing a lot of probably new words, new names here, but this is actually one of my favorite Middle Eastern spice blends. It's made out of wild oregano, sumac, toasted sesame seeds, and salt.
Nice.
And what I've done here is I've mixed it with some extra virgin olive oil. So it's basically like a za'atar oil. And I drizzle that on top as well. So as you can see, it's honestly just about drizzling a bunch of delicious condiments onto like a smoky custardy eggplant. And you bring it to your table with some fluffy white bread, and people's minds are like blown.
My mind's blown. It looks amazing.
It's really simple. And honestly, we just finish it with some fresh basil that I like to just tear my herbs right on top. And we finish it with a little bit more extra virgin olive oil, sea salt, and that's basically it.
Eden, thank you so much. You are amazing. You can find that recipe on our website. It's cityline.tv, and of course in Eden's cookbook, that is Eating Out Loud. Check it out. So many delicious recipes in that